I want to record it. There we go. Great. Gola,
All
kick
right.
us off.
All right.
You're recording.
So we got myself, Ben, and Saz doing some mid-season power ranks. So let's go ahead and get started with team number 14. So we have the Anaheim Licky Licky. So Z just won his first game. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm not a big fan of his team. I think it's extremely passive, which is, I know, the way he likes to play, but I think you can kind of see the problem with the team when Mandabuzz is his kill leader. I just don't think he has nearly enough offensive firepower. I feel like he kind of plays not to lose as opposed to playing to win, and that's kind of hurt him thus far this season. He has had a pretty tough schedule, at least the first 3 weeks, but you would hope to be better than 2 game wins on the season thus far.
Yeah.
I think,
So
yeah,
the way
go
that
for
I made my ranks was based off of how afraid I would be to face this team. I don't know if I would be afraid to face this team. I would be annoyed to face this team. It
Yeah.
would be the kind of game that would go 70 turns and would require me to predict every single move that Z is doing every time, and Z is known to outpredict me every time we play. Um, I think there's a saying in Pokemon that, or in life, that a good offense or the best offense is a good defense. In Pokemon, that is incorrect. The best offense is a good offense. And I don't see anything on here on his team that is offensive. I guess Barraskewda, but like, it's just weird. I've never seen Barraskewda work outside of a rain team. So yeah, I don't think his team is very good, but I think Z is an interesting battler, which can make most of his games somewhat close.
I think the phrase is the best defense is a good offense,
Yes.
which Z should take to heart. The point still applies. Anyway, I actually think Barraskewda is pretty good. At least I was kind of scared of it, but I think you just don't have you have two, maybe three Pokemon that you're going to run any speed on. Like all of your Pokemon are pretty slow. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know, that to me was like when I was prepping for this team, I'm mostly just going off the people I play, like how I prep. Like I didn't have to run much speed on anything because the only things that you're going to bring are Golden Go, Barraskewda, and Iron Treads. Like those are the only things that are ever going to run speed. Everything else is going to be bulky. So I don't know, that was like a big issue. I feel like you should probably have some kind of wall breaker in the 90s.
Yeah, I feel like definitely missing a wall breaker. I mean, Barraskewda kind of does it, but not extremely well. I think he's been a little over reliant on Belly Bolt. Like it's an okay mon, but it's not a bring every week in my opinion. Um, I think this team needs a bit of a facelift. I would try to upgrade the Florges slot. Um, because I mean, Slowking's already about one of the best special walls you got. So Florges isn't really doing anything for you other than just being a fairy type. Which now that I think about it, there's probably not many better fairy types below it on the point scale. But I definitely would look to upgrade that slot if he could. And I also feel like if you have Golden Go on your team,
Yeah.
you should have a shit ton of hazards, and he only has one mon who can stealth rock. So I
Yeah.
just think it's a misuse of a Golden Go based team.
And I think you
Yeah.
brought Booster Energy Treads a few times that I feel like every time has been led and then has just immediately switched out. But that I could be remembering that wrong, but I feel like that happened a couple times.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we can go ahead and move on to team number 13, which is the Thousand Professor Oaks. Um, so Mike's team, I actually do like the team. I think he has a decent amount of threats. I just think in kind of an issue with Mike in the past is he kind of stays loyal to the wrong mons. Like Grafai has come a few times already. I don't think it's very good. Quaval, he keeps running it bulky, which I feel like if you keep having to do that, you should probably either drop it for something that fits the role better, or drop some other mons to pick up something that can fill that role. So that Quake Quaval doesn't have to be a bulky Roost Rapid Spin Mon every single week. But I like Ting Lu, I like Clefable. Iron Moss really scary. I just think you could very much stand to upgrade the Grafai and Chimecho spots, considering you already have better poison and better psychic types on your team.
Yeah. I think Mike's team is great. I think it's a very scary team. He has good speed control. He has good sweepers. He has good threats and good walls. He has a fire, water, grass core that's very strong. Um, I think it's a good team. I can't tell. Yeah, he has good hazards with like Ting Lu and disruption with Ting Lu. Like, yeah, it's a good team. Um, I think my qualm with Mike's at large is he tends to bring either weird sets or does weird things in the battle. Um, that makes it hard for him to win. So while I would be scared to face this team, I don't think it would net in a loss because I think that he would probably make like a weird mistake. That said, like I've played him before and he's kept it very close. So um yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I feel like Iron Leaves can win you the game every time if you play around it right. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else really to say. Same with Guacamole. I feel like Guacamole like accidentally will win you a few games. At least that's how I felt last year. It's like I wasn't planning on sweeping with it, but it just like towards the end of the game, it just happens to kind of have a good. And I feel like I watched a couple where you had something like where it started to get going. I feel like those two Pokemon just by themselves are really good.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking into the stats a bit, and Iron Leaves is his kill leader. I think it pretty much single handedly won him his week 4 match, and I'm pretty sure it's only come 2 matches. Like for a Terra Captain that can be that scary in the right matchup, I feel like it definitely should be more of a staple to your team rather than just a every other week type of mon, which is what it's been so far. But yeah, I said it before. I think Grafai and Chimecho are what you should be upgrading if you're thinking of making moves. I don't
I
think they
think
really fill any super special niche that he needs on this team.
I feel like his team is totally fine. I feel like Chimecho, it's just a 1 point mon for his own bits. He should just not be bringing it. Like
Yeah,
um and Grafai, maybe he could switch out, but I think maybe his anti sweep guy, like whatever you bring him in, it runs Encore, and maybe you could switch it for another prankster mon that's lower points. I think his team is very good. Um, I think the other thing that I wanted to note is this is the first season where it feels like every team is really like solid and you actually have to commit time to prep for. And Mike being no exception, I think like putting him last is maybe a mistake. I don't know. It's like this is a really good team, and I think Mike would be a tough person to battle. Every team this year is really good. So um maybe it's a reflection on me getting worse, but like it's definitely like the competition is heating up for sure.
alrighty. Uh, and we'll move on to team number 12, which is the Tustin Turchwake. Um, so Aaron's team, I played him last week. It's very scary to prep for in terms of hazards. Like this thing has so many good hazards. Heatran can get up rocks pretty freely. Samurott Hisui, obviously we know with Ceaseless Edge, Sticky Web on Rabombe, Toxic Spikes on Quillfish. This team has every hazard imaginable. So I know this team is built kind of hyper offense hazard, but I do think there needs to be a little bit better walls on this team. Like Crocolore is okay. It's really low point mon. Quillfish is more of a utility mon. Heatran is it like works as a special wall some weeks, but it's more for utility. I just don't think this team is all that defensive. I mean, maybe that's the point, but I was noticing in my game that whenever one of my biggest threats came in, he doesn't really have anything that he can switch in without losing a mon. Um, so it's just like if he kind of falls behind in momentum, I feel like it's really hard for him to catch up, even though his team is full of really scary threats.
This team reminds me a bit of Aaron's team. I think it was Aaron, not Aaron. uh Andrew's team last year. It was like Dragon Knight, kind of Great Tusk, King Gambit, that sort of roster, where it was a bunch of bulky offense.
Yeah.
And each
B-tier
of them could, yeah, and all of them were like 80 speed. Where to the point where Scyther on my team was able to rip through it. If I kind of fucked it up, but like I literally lost to I literally lost to this team, which is why I ranked it maybe slightly higher. But I think the each of the individual mons is good, but I think it needs better speed control because you don't really consider Rabambi in the speed calculations. At least I didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, has he brought webs? Because I mean, in theory, webs would work well with that, but I haven't seen. I don't know if I've seen it have work.
He brought it against me, but like I think he only got it up like one of the last 5 turns of the second game.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Rabombe just is, you should kind of operate it as like, I know like in draft, you don't really do like the suicide lead strategy as much, but like when you have as many hazards as he does, like you'll be able to force multiple defogs, like where if if your sticky web gets defogged away, like it's not the end of the world because you can just keep setting up spikes and rocks.
And he has one of the best defog switch ins with Annihilate
Yeah.
if he has the right ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big if.
Right. So I think like that could, also I remember watching your game go. I think he clicked knockoff a bunch of times. And I was like, why are you not clicking Ceaseless
Yeah.
Edge? I
Yeah.
feel like every time
I
Samurot's in, it should
yeah.
click Ceaseless Edge. It doesn't matter if a dark type, like just always click Ceaseless Edge.
Yeah.
But
I definitely agree with that.
On his team, I've been really impressed with Serena. Serena's just like a good mod.
Yeah.
It
I
it's
think it's
hazard control, it has a bunch of coverage, it has momentum, it has recovery. Um, I had a hard time dealing with it. I think it's a good mod. I think he hasn't been able to use Dragonite effectively. I don't think anyone in our league has really been able to use Dragonite effectively. Shout out my boy, Dragonite. But like I would be happy to see him drop it for something else. I think he
I
would
had the
benefit from
same
that.
thought, and then I realized that it was his kill leader. But I feel like a lot of the time with Dragonite is like you bring it most weeks, and a lot of weeks it's just not able to get up the requisite D dances or stuff to really do anything. But then one week it gets 8 kills, and that's just kind of how it operates. It's a very boom or bust mon, and you feel like you have to bring it more than you should because of how many points it's worth.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I
it's
felt that way.
also you have to be patient with it because it usually doesn't have coverage for everything. So it's kind of like I feel like especially like the bulkier sets, I feel like we'll just win once the thing that resists EQ and E speed or whatever you two
Especially if
moves you
he's able
brought
to
in.
especially if he's able to wear down teams with hazards, like late
Yeah,
game D-Dance sweep is very viable.
yeah. If he wants to drop Dragonite though, I would love that Pokemon. Behind Shed Tail, I feel like is where it really shines.
Oh, Jesus.
So if yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah, don't take Salzo's advice. Don't give Ben Dragon.
Oh my God, Jesus.
All
I
right.
I like having Ben on the power ranks because he looks at these teams in the lens of how can I sweep with each of these mons. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, like Annihilate. I'm just gonna send it in on a defog and then the game's over. Oh, a
Yeah.
Dragonite? Like, why don't I wait to the end of the game until all of its resists are dead? I'm learning so much. This is great.
I don't think that you should be learning from Goa more than from me.
All right. I think we're gonna go on the next team, which I think you guys will find is the first victim of the vibes based ranking, which is the East
Oh,
Road Agron.
sorry,
Um,
Kevin.
Ooh.
so Kevin, he's 3-2, a bit of a softer schedule to start here. I think his team's pretty good. The one thing I will say is that he does not really have any physically defensive mons to switch in. I know that when I played him, Zarude just kind of ran absolutely nuts on him. Um, I think that's kind of and also the hazard control is just non-existent. Like Mousehold being your only removal is just not going to cut it, especially like I understand you have magic bounce, but like especially for Hatterene, like for toxic spikes, you probably don't want to switch it in on the poison type that's setting those down. So I just think this team is good, but it has some areas for improvement, mainly being physically defensive mon and hazard control. But he has a lot of really scary offensive threats. Um,
I feel like this team requires hazard control because Bundle, Thundy, and Ogerpon are all very weak to hazards.
Yeah, and
Like you
Ogremon can't
just
run. So
yeah, it can't run boots. And like you don't want to run boots on Bundle or Thundy. Like I guess you typically run boots on Thundy, and then I guess you can run boots on Bundle, but you don't want to run boots. So yeah, I feel like he just requires hazard control. And if he figures that out, then I think his team will be pretty good.
mhm.
Because he has a bunch of annoying threats. Like Ogerpon is a pain in the fucking ass, and
Yeah,
there's nothing that
that thing
switches into
is
Bundle.
yeah.
So it's a really good offensive team. I guess the other thing that I note is if Magic Bounce is your way to remove or like to dissuade hazards, Hatterene as your kill leader is a little weird. Like maybe I'd run it like more tanky to like at least one-on-one every hazard setter. That said, he has played the two Pokemon that have been able to get up like free hazards against it in Samurott Hisui and Kleavor. So and he did, I guess, like fine against those mods, whatever. I mean, it's just like I don't think his team is that good, and I think there's just a glaring weakness on the hazard control side. If he figures that out, I think it would be much better.
Yeah, I don't like Ogerpon personally. Like I feel like the games I've watched, it hasn't done as much as you would think for how many points it is. And then so I don't know. I feel like you could maybe find something more interesting with those points. Um it feels like some of your other like you already have a decent number of breakers or things that can act as breakers with Thunderous and Krook. I don't know. I don't know if you need the Overporn. I guess Sanzo's saying it's nice, but I'm sure it's real. It's nice. I don't know. I feel like it just hasn't done that much, especially without Terra.
Yeah.
Why do you think it hasn't been good? Not in the sense of like what you've observed, but like what are the reasons why Ogerpon isn't as useful as you might expect? Is it just
I,
like easily walled by fire, or like what do you think?
so I know for me, like when I played him, I had Talonflame as like my main switch in for it, and then like
Yeah,
Skeletor
yeah.
in the back if I needed to. But like it gets Rock Tomb, so like I didn't know why he didn't bring Rock Tomb. Because I pretty much switched in Talonflame every single time, and he would knock me off, which was like fine. But um, like I think it's just Ogerpon, like it's not quite fast enough where you can just set up a Swords Dance and sweep on most teams, but it still hits really hard. I think there is a niche for it, but on like to Ben's point, this team is already offensive enough where I don't think it's necessarily needed or the best use of points, even if it is still a great mod.
Yeah, I mean it's like 120 attack. I mean it's obviously really good, but does it get the boost? I actually don't know how they work. Does it get the boost even if it hasn't Terra? Like
No.
on Ivy Cudgel only, right? Get some kind of
Ivy Cudgel, I think it has like a 50% critical hit rate, basically.
okay. Yeah, I agree.
I
Sam
agree with
Trailblaze
I
would
would
be
agree
good.
with Sam. Yeah, Trailblaze would be good on it. All right.
Gudra Hisui has been another good mon. It seems like it's just that mon is so
I was very
annoying.
happy that he did not bring it against me. That's kind of why Zarude was able to run wild. Because I mean, if he brought Sapsip or Gudra, I would not have been able to click Power Whip as much as I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Krook's
Good.
really good. Krook is
And
good
Kruk is
Krug
a
is
really good
nice.
mon. When I had it a couple seasons ago, I was a huge fan. All right, let's go to number 10, which is the DC Drifblim. Um, so Matt's team underwent a uh, giant team shift early on because he was not happy with the early results. I mean, the first three games, kind of a gauntlet. Game 4 kind of let slip away, but then got back on track with a really nice win against Akash. Hopefully, he can use that as momentum going forward. I think he's still trying to figure out how to use Gliscor the best. I think until last week or until this week against Akash, it didn't have a single kill. So I think that's just been the main thing. I think it was like his first or second pick, and he just hasn't been able to get a ton out of it, which I think has been the main issue. But it looks like he's learning how to use it. I like the team. I think Cinderace is really good. His Terra Hydreigon hits like an absolute truck, and he's been able to use Gengar, I think, better than most people in the league have thus far. I just think Fortress, Milotic, Gliscor, pretty good defensive core. Glade, Gengar, Hydreigon, Cinderace all hit like a truck. I think this team should be good, but for whatever reason, there's been some underperformance so far.
Yeah. I think the big issue is Gliscor. I don't know why, but it seems like it's not as useful in draft. Maybe the
Yeah,
reason why is because you know what item it's bringing every week, so you can prep for it very easily. And then also, I think Mons with a 4x weakness are also easy to prep for. So they might be better in OU than they are in draft because, like, when I go up against Shoop, I'm going to have like two or three things that Gliscor would normally switch into that run ice coverage. And that's really fucking annoying for Gliscor. Um, that said, I think like Shoop is a really good battler and team builder. Um, honestly, I would maybe like drop Gliscor. I know it's your first pick, but like maybe I would drop it for another ground type. Um, I've been really impressed with how you use Gengar. Um, and then I think I'd be very scared of Hydreigon because it just has like a wide variety of sets. I think your team now is significantly better than what it was. And you'll see where I ranked the other Sun team. But I just generally thought that like the Sun strategy is not a good strategy in draft. I think any strategy where it's very clear what you're going to do in draft is like pretty easy to prep for, at least at our level now. Yeah.
I disagree with the Sun piece though, because I feel like Clayton's team is so scary. We'll get there, but I think it's scary. And obviously,
Disagree.
Rain was pretty good last year. I don't know. I think they can be good if you. I think it was hard with both of them doing it because then they kind of split the good Mons. Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think
Like
that's right.
Clayton got a lot better with Wake. Like I don't know.
so
I
I also
think
like I agree with your point, but only because I prep wrong for weather. I like always prep to stop the Mons as opposed to stopping what makes them good in the weather, which I think you did a really good job of against Clayton. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I guess back to Matt's team. I think if he wants to upgrade the Gliscor spot, I think that would be good. Even though I think Gliscor is a great mon, it might not be the best in draft. But I think the team as it stands now is really good. Just needs some help on the edges.
I think Manatee could be really good too. I
Yeah,
no one's tried it, but now that it has Take Heart, I don't know. I feel like there are just some crazy sets you can run with Take Heart.
agree.
Uh, like that could be interesting. I'm not sure if Glysaur and Manaphy is like 1-to-1 for points wise, but and you already have
I think it
Milotic, I
is.
guess. But
I think you
yeah,
could do, yeah, Gliscor and Melodic for Manaphy and something.
yeah,
Um, I think that would go over really well. I was considering taking Manaphy with my fifth pick, or like sixth pick in the draft.
yeah.
Um, it's just it can do a lot of different stuff. Like it can be a special, it can be physical, it can be a pivot, it can be a tank, it can do all these different things. It can run in weather, it can like be a defensive sweeper, it can be an offensive sweeper, it can just do everything. And I think in draft that's really useful. So I was considering it, but I would love to see someone use it effectively.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one, we have the New England Nido-Kings. So I'm playing Andrew this week, and I'm fucking terrified of this team, man, especially his kill leader. I have absolutely nothing that can switch into Ursulina and Blood Moon. Like that thing is so scary. He's used it very well. Yeah, I think this team's very good. And Sasa, it looks like you kind of thought the same with the
Yeah.
fifth place ranking. I just think he has a lot of threats. Not the best speed, but the team hits like a fucking truck.
So I didn't watch all of his previous matches. I just watched the replays for all of this week. And I thought
Yeah.
he played really well against um so New England is Andrew and then East Aurora is Kevin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I always get them fucking confused. Okay. So I saw that game against Kevin. I was like, wow, this team is nasty. He should have won 2-0 for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw some earlier matches with Ursula and Blood Moon. The fact that this thing gets vacuum wave is ridiculous. It's so broken. And he didn't bring it last week, which would have been the reason he would have won 2-0. He should have brought it. But this thing is disgusting. Ursaluna Blood Moon is like I don't even know how you beat this. I think it's definitely a mon that gets at least one kill because when it comes in, it's going to kill something. Then you need something that revenge kills it. It's probably like a better version of Iron Hands. I think.
Yeah.
Just like that tanky, just like hits really hard break stuff. And then the rest of his team is really good. Like I think great fire, water, grass core. Cleavor is like I've been trying to get Cleavor off of him. I want it so bad. It's like default, like really good hazards, and it hits like a truck. I saw it clean last week, which I thought was a really cool set with Scarf. And then Baxcalibur is like one of the best physical sweepers you're going to find in draft. Like Bax is really, really good and has a bunch of different sets that make it good. So yeah, I think this team is great. I don't know how he's been at battling. Maybe all the teams this year are really good, but like Jesus, these teams are good. Um,
Yeah.
so
Did,
yeah, I'm
did he
scared of
drop
his
Nine
ceiling.
Tails? Did he drop
Drop,
Nine Tails or?
drop Ninetales pretty early on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he might have used it to pick up Moltres.
Okay.
Moltres.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
so pissed about that because I had Moltres on waivers and he picked it up. So annoying.
obviously, I lost this team. Ursulina was a huge issue. I originally had this team closer where Sasa put him, like I think like
Mhm.
6 or 7, and then I thought, then I was looking at the people I had below him, and I was like, oh, but like record wise, like it feels like a little bit disrespectful. So now I kind of put him back. But I agree. Like I was scared. I always lose to Andrew too. Andrew just has my number. I think I'm 0-5 against Andrew, like all time.
Wow.
Like I've literally never
No
beaten him.
way.
Yeah, I'll just lose to him every single time. Overclow also like sneaky good, like always does what it's supposed to do every game. Like I feel like it's come every time I've watched, and it just it's yeah, it always it always it never like sweeps, it never like kills that many things, but it always kind of just chips down the kind of physical attackers on their team.
Yeah. I definitely need to hire Andrew as a consultant whenever I play Ben because I can't seem to beat
Yeah.
Ben. He can't seem to lose to him.
Andrew has my number. I literally can't
But
beat him.
I also agree with Matt's point in the chat about Espeon, especially Espeon being the only mon with speed over like 90, other than Wug Trio, which is never gonna be a factor. This team just doesn't have enough speed. Like it's really scary. Like there's not a lot of switch-ins for this team, but like pretty much everything on this team can be revenged with something that's not even that fast. Um, so I guess that's the one drawback with this team is mainly um, speed from actual threats, not just Espeon and Wug Trio.
I do think I won one of the games. I was looking at 2-0. I was like, I'm pretty sure I won one of the games. Not
Did you?
Cognac Gold, but I think I have to go back and check.
I might have mixed up these at one
I know,
point. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I don't know.
I
Uh,
just get it.
yeah,
But yeah,
One of
cool.
the things that I like about Overquill and Decky Dewey and Moltres and Empoleon is they're tanks, but they disrupt stuff. This is something that I've noticed with Sam's teams is his tanks are always doing something more than just like taking a hit. Just kind of why I don't like Aloma Lolo this year. It just takes a hit and then does something else. But like his tanks actually go and do something. So like these disruptors, I think is something useful, and then that sets it up for like a cleaner and then a sweeper later. Because I'm trying to figure out like what makes these teams so successful, and I think that's an important component. So yeah.
all right. Moving on to the next one, which is I believe our first tie for seventh. We have Bird's team. So a bit of an uncharacteristically slow start for Bert, being under 500 halfway through the season. He has had a pretty tough schedule thus far, but I think kind of a point that you can see with his team that might be an issue is that he has both Dragapult and Greninja, and yet his kill leader is Tauros. Um, I think both Dragapult and Greninja are very good. They're both very scary, but for the amount of points he's paying for both of them, I think there's a chance they might be spent better elsewhere, considering he already has another Dark type, and then Dark and Ghost already overlap so much offensively anyway. Um, so I think even though Greninja is really good, that would be the first place I look to upgrade, um, just because it's such a high value mon, and I don't think, at least thus far, it's done exactly what he was hoping for his team.
Yeah. I think when I look at Bird's team, because I'm prepping against it this week, and I think I've said this publicly, so it doesn't really matter. It just there's like a glaring fairy weakness. Like if you can figure out how to make a fairy fast, it just beats his team.
Yeah.
Like his resist, I guess, is Wheezing. Like Wheezing Galar, like if I'm gonna run like Enamorus with Moonblast, like I think that maybe takes like 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah.
Same with Caparaja. Um, and I've been consistently, I think Bert has had Dragapult in like 2, maybe 3 seasons now. And I've yet to, and it's always drafted first, but I've yet to see it really go off in our league. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's maybe an underwhelming first pick. At least I would probably draft Pao ahead of it. I would maybe draft like Great Tusk ahead of it. I've really enjoyed Great Tusk this year. Ben is like, fuck this shit. Um, but I think there are maybe a few mods that I would draft ahead of Holt. I think it's like a hard thing to play, and it's not usually as good as first pick in the draft. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with Chimpao. Chimpao is stupid. Like that's just a stupid Pokemon. It was stupid last season, it's stupid this season. But Dragapult, I feel like when I played him like this last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, like I was still scared of Dragapult and Greninja. Like I think they're both very scary.
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like Polt. I don't know. I feel like I always default to more setup type of like sets. I do feel like Polt hasn't really been setting up. It's been doing a lot of like sub Willow. It's been running lefties, I think, like a lot of the weeks. I think one week you brought screens on it. Like it's been playing more of a support role,
Mhm.
which is fine. Like it's good at a support role, but it's paying 20 points for a support role. In which case, like I agree with what Sasso and Goal were saying about it being not a great use of points. But I feel like a Dragon Dance set, like I had probably one of the best counters to it with you know, Grimmsnarl, right? Like to a Dragon Dance set. And I was still very worried about Dragon Dance because it just hits it you know, it hits really hard and it has decent coverage. I don't know. But
It's a super good mon with a lot of different it's really good at a lot of things. Like oftentimes you get mons who can do a lot of things fine. This thing can do a lot of things well. I just don't think any individual set, whether it's specs or D dance, is like spectacular. It's not the best in the world at the thing it does. Um, but it can, and usually when you prep against it, you have a good understanding of what it's going to do. This is all obviously going to bite me in the ass when I play Bert next week. Um, like he's gonna whoop me. I don't think I've beaten Bert once in this league, so
Oh,
me ranking him 7 is like clearly a bad omen. But this team in particular is, I think, worse than his past one.
I think Moltres is really good. Moltres Galar, like speaking of things that can do one thing well, like it can run the double dance, like agility nasty plot set every week, and I think it could be good every week.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm still very scared of Bert as a battler. I just don't think this team gives him as much ammo to be as successful as he has in the past. Um, and I know he's already made some changes and, he's had a really hard schedule. I'm sure he'll go on a second half run, but I just think there could be upgrades to be made. Um,
He should
but
he should drop he should drop Pole, pick up Garchomp, and drop Donphan, and look, he has 11 points to do whatever he likes with. And then Pole, like no one has 20 points to pick up Pole, so like he doesn't have to worry about it.
Maybe Terra Captain too. I think his Terra Captains have been like the Tauros has been good, but I don't think it's really used its Terra that much. Like it's used it,
yeah,
but it hasn't made a big difference. Yeah.
yeah, good point, Matt. All right. We will go to the next team, which is the first occupied by one of our 3 rankers, the Uzbekistan Darmanitans. So Saslo, your team I think is good. I think it's better now with the Enamorous upgrade. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of Electro Hisui, even though I know you love it. I just don't think it's that threatening. I think any grass type just can sit in while it does nothing behind a substitute. Um, I think Espathor's been really good. Great Tusk has been fantastic for you. Amola Mola, I know you've been a bit disappointed with. Um, but again, you did just beat Clayton, who like pretty badly, whose team is very scary. So hopefully that means you're on the up and up going forward.
What I will say is I think there's a very direct correlation between how much I think about the game that I'm playing for the week and how well I do. So for the Clayton match, I'm like, all right, if I lose this match, I'm not going to make playoffs this season. Like it's literally a must win. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to spend like 2 hours for like 3 straight days thinking about how I'm going to prep for this match, which led to the Enamorous pickup, um, which did well. And then like all the other things that like I think were justified. Um, but like the games that I lost, I think like the talk game and the Tussin Turco game, I didn't spend as much time as I should have prepping. Um, and I don't know. When I look at my team now, I'm like, okay, I think Slow King and Aloe do well together. But other than that, I feel like it's maybe too tanky. The Electrode, I've enjoyed Electrode this season because it's just really good momentum. And the things that switch into it get killed by Leaf Storm, and the things that switch into Leaf Storm, I can just pivot out on. Um, but I understand why, like now looking at a few games, why it's maybe not super threatening, especially at 8 points. It's like a lot of points. Diancie, I've enjoyed. I have not run Chloroblast yet. I've just run Leaf Storm, which I think is better because I run it like a little tankier, so it survives longer. It can take at least like one hit. I like the enjoyed Diancie, but I think it's another tank on a two tanky team. So if I keep Enamorous, I probably have to drop Diancie, even though I've liked it a lot. And then Braviary is mostly there for just additional hazard control in a normal type. Um, and then I've enjoyed Scyther as well. I don't know. I think like the rest of the season, if I spend the time to prep and I have 5 ad drops remaining, I can get into playoffs. But I think I have a bunch of games for the upcoming like the rest of the season that are going to be like really tough, like including Burt, Gola, and a few others. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played you obviously. I feel like Great Tusk. I know it's been working well. I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like it doesn't maybe I just don't like it because it doesn't sweep and it doesn't like have recovery. So then I was like, what does this do? It doesn't wall things, it doesn't win you the game. But I'm sure it's good. I mean, I think like looking at it, your team, it looks really nice. I also considered picking up an Amorous for a while. I do think that can be really good. But I don't think I have anything else really to say. I feel like your Terra captains. I think Electro can be good without Terra. I guess is what I would say.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely agree with that.
yeah, like I don't think you need. I think you could. I think it's better to have one Terra that's really good than like 3 possible options. And I didn't think that going into the season. Going into the season, I thought, okay, it'd be really cool to have all these different things. People don't know what to prep for, and it could be a surprise. But now I think it's just better to have like a really good mon that can Terra and do a lot.
Yeah, spoiler alert, guys, to everyone I play. I'm gonna run Terra on Skeledirge. Like that's just what it's gonna be for the week. But yeah, Saza, looking at your team, like I definitely agree with like the potentially too tanky part. Like I think you kind of fall into the trap a lot of times of being really good with low point mons. Like you've gotten a lot of like viability out of Scyther. But like the fact that like Scyther is like your most threatening physical attacker is like kind of an issue in itself. Like I think you need something because Great Tusk is like it's a very good utility mon. Like it spins, it can eat a hit, like and it has 2 really good stabs that hit like a truck. But I think you need a viable physical mon with some speed that can threaten your opponents. I think that's the
Yeah.
one thing this team is missing.
So I've been noodling on 2 mons in particular and trying to figure out how I get the points to get there. It's Infernape and Caesar. What do you guys think? And it would be like because I want a fire type, um, and then I want a steel type, and I've enjoyed practicing with Caesar. I don't know. What do you guys think? I could Terra either of them. Like a Terra, like Ben, you had a lot of success with Terra Steel Caesar last year.
I
Just
think it's really
picking
good. I think Scissors really good. We upped the points a lot this season, so, but I think it's still really good. Terra Normal and Terra Steel, I think, are both good. Like Terra Normal Quick Attack actually hits a lot harder. I mean, with Scyther, it hits harder than people think.
Yeah, I think Caesar could be really good for you, and Fernape as well. like, yes, both fire and steel are very good typing. I think steel is slightly more necessary to have, but since you have Slowking Galar as a poison type defensive or especially defensive wall, it's not as pressing. But I think both of those are very good options for your team. Either would be very beneficial. Infernape gives you another stealth rocker. Scissor gives you another defogger hazard control option, and both of them hit very hard. So I think both of them would do wonders for your team.
I think Infernape's better value than Scissor at the points that it has.
Mhm. Now looking at the list, there's also Mian Shao. So I could do a 3 regen core.
I don't think you necessarily like need another fighting type since you have Tusk, but
Okay, let's move on from my stuff.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because I have a lot of thoughts. I would love to get I would love to get y'all as consultants off the record.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, we spilled the beans too much. I
No,
understand.
it's all good. It's all good.
I think I
don't
want
care.
consult on how to beat Clayton because I play Clayton this week and I don't know how to beat Wake. Wake just kills at something as soon as it comes in every time. Oh well.
So
We'll
next
we'll figure it out together.
is the Latverian Luxray. Akash, his team. He's been pretty good so far this season. 3-2 record, winning most of his games. His team, other than one completely terrible Mon, it's relatively good. I'm not the biggest Told Scroll guy. Obviously, everyone knows how I feel about Umbreon, but I feel like Told Scroll's coming a little too much because it's your only hazard control. I definitely think if you can find a better hazard control option, I would do so. I know he's thinking about dropping Sneasler because I don't think he's really maximized Sneasler's potential this year or found a way to yet. So I think if he does that, he could definitely use the points to find some better hazard control mons worth higher points. And again, he's got 8 free points just sitting there in slot 5, just doing absolutely nothing for his team other than letting people set up on him for free. But yeah, I think Sylveon's been a really good Terra captain for him. He kind of plays a really, really good mind game with like going between Steel and Fairy because obviously like the move that hits one of them really hard can't hit the other one for shit. And yeah, I think he like Sneasler I really wanted before the season, but like I'm realizing now that it might not be the best draft mon if it doesn't get Dire Claw. Or
Yeah.
as Matt said, if you don't have a terrain setter, you're not really maximizing it.
Sneasler is not him in draft. It's not him. Yeah. I don't think it's very good. I think maybe Weavile would be better than Sneasler without Dire Claw.
Yeah, I agree with that because
Yeah.
his one dark type on his team fucking blows, so he might as well get another one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll
Goalie, you're not a fan of Sandy Shocks? It's crazy. Or you Slowbro you had on your on your team last year. What are you talking about? Um, I played with Arcanine Hisui a little bit at the end of last year. I really enjoyed it. I think this year it's maybe too many points. I don't know. I feel like
yeah, it was definitely
I
undervalued last year for sure.
yeah. But now I think it's like a lot of points. I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot, and I don't know if he's been using it the best. I think
Yeah,
his
if
team is
he's
good.
running boots, I feel like you should just put a band on it because
Yeah.
like nothing really switches into it.
Throw a band or a scarf on it. It's actually not a scarf, a band. Like
Yeah.
252 HP, 252 attack adamant plus morning sun, head smash, flare blitz, and like wild charge. And it is really good. I've really enjoyed watching you use Ogre Porn Cornerstone. And I also enjoyed watching you bring Quaxwell one week, my homie. It's actually a good mod. And walls, and for what it's worth, it completely walls Chien Pao. It's like one of 3 mons that completely wall it. Yeah, I don't know. I think you've been a really, really good team builder and battler. I don't think the team you have like sitting in front of me is as good. as your team last year.
I
But
agree.
I do think that you're a really good battler and team builder, so it's always a scary fight because you don't know what you're going to do, and you tend to outsmart your opponents.
What is his Terra Captain? I don't even know what it is.
One of them is Umbreon, I
Um,
think, and the other one's Sylveon.
so yeah, right. You're right. Doug is there. Yeah, I feel like Terra Captains could be more. I don't know. I feel like offensive Terra Captains. Sylveon is kind of offensive. I think there's a lot of teams weak to Sylveon, like offensively, but I do think maybe changing it up. I actually think Sneasler can be good. I know he's planning on getting rid of it, so I'm not going to change his mind. But like, I think again, Ogre Pawns are a little bit overrated. Like, I think they're kind of like the new toy, and we kind of put them relatively high. I would go for Rillaboom instead of Ogre Pawn and kind of just like
Yeah, that would
go
be
for that
that'd be
Rilla
scary.
Sneasler strategy. Personally, I don't think Terra Sneasler is legal, Sam. That would be. I think that would be not fair. I'd be surprised if that's legal.
It is legal.
Oh,
It
really?
is 17 points. Terrace Neasler is legal.
Do that. Okay, do that. Pick up Rillaboom for Ogre Pawn. I bet you that works.
Yeah, and drop Umbreon, but that's
Yeah,
just
drop Umbreon, sure.
Those are really good ideas, actually. Yeah, you should definitely do that.
Also, you could bring a Sunny Day on Illumise at some point for Arcanine and Sandy Shocks.
oh man, yeah.
That could be fun. I was practicing with Sam week one, and that was like walling his whole team was Sunny Day Illumise because I think it gets I think Illumise gets like Morning Sun, and so then it gets like one of the, or Synthesis. It gets one of the ones that like does 75%. I don't know.
Yeah. How do you come up with all these sets, man? I don't get it.
Well, that was just because I wanted. Whenever I practice with Sam, I just try to come up with like things that are stupid. So they don't usually work, but
Yeah.
Damn, Gola, we should do this. We should have just like crazy practice sessions where we try a bunch of shit. This
Yeah.
is why they're so good.
so basically, I don't even make a team. I just spend like 20 minutes. I'll make a team for my opponent, and then like that's what I put most time into is thinking about like my opponent's team, and then I make a team based off that, which I feel like is a lot easier. Like otherwise, I'm just like changing my mind all the time about what team I want to bring. Whereas if I just make that opponent's team, I just assume that's what they're going to bring, and then I can easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good strategy.
I found that to be the most effective team building strategy. It requires a lot more team prep because you have to instead of it's like in Pokemon is a game of game theory, right? Like I think you're going to do this, therefore I do this, but you think I'm going to do this, so therefore I'm not going to do this, or you think I'm going to do this, so you do this, so I do that. Um, so this is the one level of game theory, which is I think you're going to do this, so I'm going to do this. The worst is I'm just going to do something without any idea of what you're going to do. And then like now when I play you, I'm going to make a team for I'm Jesus Christ. So I'm going to put
Don't
myself in
hurt
your
yourself,
head.
Tasla. Don't hurt yourself.
You put myself in your head thinking, okay, what is the team that I'm going to build for you? Then you building the counter team to me, and then I build the counter team to that. So it's like two levels of game theory. Um, but yeah,
Fair.
I think that's always been the most effective way to build a team for sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad to
don't do
hear
it
what you're
so
doing
in
too.
depth. I kind of just do what are the standard sets for the Pokemon I think are the best for their team, and then I'll like change the coverage based on my team, but that's about it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 5, which bit of a surprise. We have the Philadelphia Fanfy. So Tox played a absolutely brutal schedule so far, like just absolutely miserable. 2-3, slightly positive mod differential. I just think his team's pretty good. He has a lot of threats. Qian Pao, obviously, I think is probably the scariest mon in the game. The only real hole that I see potentially on his team is he doesn't have a great special wall, especially defensive mon. But I think he's been getting a lot out of Gardevoir and Decidueye to fill that role if needed. But yeah, Qian Pao is really scary. I don't think he's gotten a ton out of Glamora. So if he wants to make an upgrade, that would potentially be an option to go with. But I think he's played well in a lot of these games. Like in all of his losses except one, he's taken it to game 3 against some really good teams. Like I think he's done a good job this year. So hopefully he can take advantage of a softer schedule in the second half.
So the thing about Talk, he's 2-3. I recognize this. He whooped me I mean, he didn't really whip me. Like I should have won game one, but he got two crits in a row. But he had a better team than me. He was going to win
Yeah.
game three. Um, for the three losses that he had, I actually don't know about the one against the Luxray, but like I've watched these games. Talk should have won all of them handedly. Like Ben, I don't know about you, but like I think Talk should have won that game. Like he had you in game one. I think he more or less could have gotten you in game two, and then he made like battling mistakes. But I wouldn't say battling mistakes. I think you probably just out battled him hard in game two and three. Um, and
Yeah,
then I
Tom's
think
a really
versus
good game one battler, like really good. And then like kind of loses steam as it goes on, and the
yeah,
opponent learns more about it.
yeah,
Yeah, game one, opponent got 5 kills.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The four.
yeah.
No, I
I
agree
don't know. I
though.
think I think Talk could easily be 5-0 right now.
I agree.
But and he's facing a really tough schedule, and his team's great. So I ranked him high. Um, I think if he plays like 100 Rambats matches and it figures out his battling, I think he'd be one of the better teams in the league this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gian Pao like is the cornerstone, so to speak, of his team. Like, it's so good. I think I don't know why I rated it lower. I think I was just looking at the teams above it, and I was a little more scared of them. Like Hapoden being Terra Normal, I think I like just what our last week, like that was really good against my team, but I wasn't sure that like it doesn't feel like it'll be good against anybody else's team.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
did that specifically for you.
but yeah, I think screens teleport into Chien Pao. Yeah, that could be cool. I remember I think like Clayton ran like a scarf teleport Gardevoir at one point in the past season. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I put it at 8. Maybe it should have been a little higher. Other than Chien Pao, like there's nothing really I'm that scared of. Like Zapdos is scary, but that can't boost. Glamora, same thing. Tauros can only boost via bulk up. I don't think Gardevoir can boost. Like you know what I mean? I guess I'm mostly just scared of things that can boost. Like I'm really scared of Chien Pao, but
Yeah.
everything else kind of like you could probably, if you have the right Pokemon, you could like there's a decent amount of Pokemon that kind of wall them.
Yeah, I think Talk's team like is an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think like to get to 10 out of 10, he either needs to go balls to the wall, full momentum, completely supporting Chien Pao sweeps like every week, or he needs to get something that's a little more threatening um, on the special side. Because like Glamora has really high special attack, but like, are you really running it as a wall breaker? Like Gardevoir can hit kind of hard, like Zapdos can hit relatively hard, but I don't think there's any like Chien Pao is the offensive threat, and everything else on his team is just a little scary. Like I think he either needs a little more defensive support and go all in on Chien Pao, or he needs a championship level number 2 for his Chien Pao.
The way that I've been reading Talk's team builds is he doesn't even treat Chien Pao like it's him. He treats it as like the equivalent of like a guard or Zapdos.
Mhm.
Um, I think if he built everything around Chien Pao, it would go really well. And then build like a risky Chien Pao set, which is like, okay, I'm gonna bring fucking Life Orb Chien Pao and Life Orb SD or Focus Sash like Weakness Policy Chien Pao with double pry, and we're gonna run like great hazard control, and we're gonna run it a little tanky to ensure it like lives one hit or something. I think he could do something really cool with Chiampao. Right now, I think he's been leaning on just like the overall quality of his team to get him far, and like
Mhm.
taking. I would like to see him take more risks in team builds. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you guys are better at that than I am. I run the same fucking vanilla sets all year, every game.
The way that I put it is I think there are different types of playstyles. I think that you and Sam are like great at the balanced playstyle, which is like you have your mons disrupt, like you disrupt for like 20 turns, and then you have like a cleaner or sweeper at the end who like wins the game. And you play the end game really, really well so that you're positioned to win it. versus like me or Ben's play style that's been effective, and Ben does this a lot better than I do. I've just adopted it because I think it's an undervalued play style, is the silver bullet play style, which is like you just figure out one sweeper. And if it works, great, then you build everything around it. But if this sweeper doesn't work, you're fucked because it's your silver bullet. Um, so yeah.
That's a fair
Yeah.
point.
I feel like it takes a lot more patience and skill to play the balanced approach. And so
100%.
if you don't have that, it can be fun to just go all in.
All right. Now we will go on to number 4, which I'm sure Clayton will be happy about Sasa's.
Oh man, look at that trajectory.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
that's
so
true.
it's going downhill. I don't know.
Let's not jinx it. Let's not
So,
jinx
I
it.
don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, I will say that like Clayton has won the games he should win. And I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that he could have won the game against me. I don't think there's any argument to be made that he should have beat you, Sasa. You kind of put him in the dirt. But in terms of his team, like walking Wake in the sun is just so fucking scary, man. Like there's nothing that can switch into it. Like it is just I have Claude Sire with Water Absorb, which is like about as good as you can get, and it still does 85% with the Draco Meteor with a life orb. Like it's impossible to switch into. Like unless you like predict everything right with your Water Absorb Terra Fairy Mon, like you're gonna lose Mons to it. I think it has like the 3rd or 4th most kills in the league, and he didn't even have it week 1. It's been doing a lot of work for him. I think his team's very scary. I think Soslow, with him being a weather team, I think you kind of put a good strategy out, which I might have mentioned already, but just playing to beat the weather as opposed to playing to beat his actual threats, because his threats need the weather to be as threatening as they are. I think Roaring Moon has been kind of underwhelming, which I think it was for Soslow last year too. So it might not just be the best draft mon. Dark Dragon is just it's a typing that like gets walled by one type too easily for it to be as many points as it is, I think.
It gets Ironhead though. Like it feels like
Yeah, it does, but like he had to like against me, like my Terra Fairy Skeletor, she had to run banned in order to 2-hit KO it, and like
yeah,
that requires some predictions and everything like that.
but that's a Terra Fairy Skeletor. But like beyond, I mean, that's like a specific.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't feel like I have anything that can take on Roaring Moon personally. Or Wake. Wake does 62% to a fully Spadef Blissey. In Sun with Terra Dragon. It's
crazy.
like it's stupid. That said, there's one Pokemon on this list that I think should be banned next season, and it's Screamtail. Screamtail should be banned. I hate that Pokemon so much.
Agree.
I agree.
I agree.
It's stupid.
I agree.
It's so annoying. That mon is so annoying. I am with you. That thing should be banned. I also think Shedtail should be banned for what it's worth.
Yeah. I think it should be, which is why I always pick it up because I think it's going to be like OP, and it's just like not done that much for me. Honestly, like Screens, I think it's done way more for me. Like I really like Screens, obviously, but Shedtail, I feel like it just because Cyclozar just doesn't feel like it does that. I don't know. I've been struggling to use Cyclozar and Cyclozar and Shedtail, but I also think Palisade on his team is sneaky good. Like there's a lot of things it kind of walls that you wouldn't expect. And does Shore Up do extra in Sun? I can't remember.
I don't know if Shore Up has like any special secondary effect like that.
I don't know, but yeah.
I think Lilligan Hisui has been really good for him. Like it ended, I was not expecting him to bring it at all against me because I have Talonflame and it can't really do shit offensively. But it ended up like being chlorophyll with sleep powder, like being able to put me to sleep. It ended up playing a lot bigger role than I thought it would. I think it's done really well for him. But again, there's just something with me in draft when you're spending 12 mons or 12 points on a mon like Torkoal, which basically any mon can switch into for free. as long as it's not weak to fire. Like, yes, it makes Walking Wake as deadly as it is, but it's almost a free turn for your opponent every time you bring it in. I mean, that's just kind of my philosophy. I'm not really a weather guy, even though, you know, I've lost to weather plenty of times in the past. I just I'm not the fan of the play style. I think Clayton's team is scary. I don't necessarily think he has to make any moves. I think he should just hopefully work around trying to find a way for Roaring Moon to be as scary as Walking Wake is.
Yeah. I think so. Clayton, I'm sorry for the low ranking. But I ranked it based off of how scared I would be to play the teams. And I just played your team and I didn't find it that scary. So I thought this was deserved. The um and then we'll argue about this, but I don't think Sun is as good as Rain. I think Rain is viable. Um, I think Rain is maybe not viable actually. Like I don't think Rain is really viable. Um, and I think Sun is less viable. Why Rain is more viable is because I think Pelipper is a lot better than Torkoal. Because like Pelipper can hurt stuff and it has momentum. Versus like Torkoal, you like how do you effectively switch into the thing that you want to switch into? Like what's weak to Walking Wake? Like if you click Earthquake on Torkoal, like Walking Wake doesn't like that either. Um, and then additionally, if you want to get Walking Wake in, you have to click Yawn, and then that's another turn, and then you lose a second turn on the switch. So you lose an extra turn to get it in, and it's like you're guessing that Walking Wake's going to come out, so you can prep for it. And then I think Moon you really don't even have to prep for defensively. It's like not, I don't think it's that good. At least like Aloma Lola countered it as well as Tusk on my side. Um the annoying mon on his team is like Wake, obviously, that thing is dumb. And then Lilligan Hisui is such a fucking pain in the ass. I have when I was glad he didn't bring it. Fortunately, Slowking Galar walled both of its stabs, but I think it's a really, really good mon. Um, and I think if he turns Moon into something that's more threatening, like I don't know, like make it Garchomp or something. I don't know, but like you could, this would be a really scary team.
I think Moon's pretty threat. I mean, Alola obviously does well, but I don't know. I still think Moon's threatening. I think Torkoal does a lot actually, like with Rapid Spin and Stealth Rocks. Like it's not that much hazard removal. So even just being a hazard remover, I feel like is value in and of itself, but you can't really run boots on it. So I get it's not ideal, but
You want to get it out though. Like when you bring in Torkoal, you don't want it to click moves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every move, every turn that it stays in is a turn less of Sun that your actual Sun mons get to have. But yeah, I mean, I think Clayton's team is good. He's on a bit of a mini slide right now. Ben, I think you said he plays you this week. So I mean, we'll see if he can turn it around. But I think we should probably move on to the top three, which because of Ben's ranking, I think I have it three, but I think it's technically tied for two. We have my team, the Weaviles. So I changed up my team relatively early in the season, in classic me fashion. I have an early season loss, and then I drop half my team. But I am liking my new team a decent amount better. I think Zarude's been fucking awesome. That mon is so good. I'm a huge fan of it. I haven't really figured out how to use Palfin yet, and Jirachi, like, I think I'm wasting a decent amount of points on. But I think I have a really good like core 4 or 5 mons in Palafin, Skeledirge, Claude, Zarude, and Talonflame. And I can kind of fill in the edges with Rotom or Jigalgi or Jirachi as need be. I I'm like I haven't had the toughest schedule yet. And I think I have a lot of tough matches on the second half. So I think opportunities for improvement with my team. I can try to find something to do with Jirachi. It's 15 points, which is a lot if I need to. but like overall, I'm happy with where my team is right now. Don't have like the best speed considering Talonflame is my fastest mon, but other than that, like relative fan of my team right now.
I think so. I think what makes you successful in draft is I think it can be less the team this year. I look at your team and I think it's good. I think it's very tanky and really hard to kill. Like I don't know the way that you kill Skeldurge, honestly. Like I just literally don't know how you kill it. Or Claude. Like Claude is also an annoying thing to kill. Like your team is hard to kill. Um, I don't look at your team and I'm like, oh my God, anything is super threatening other than Palafin, who you haven't really figured out how to utilize optimally yet. I do think you'll figure it out. Palafin is like a weird mon, and it's an Uber, so you can't really like practice with it in OU. I think it'll be like your Mega Gallade, hopefully. Um,
Really nice.
I think that said though, you have like a good tanky team, which requires a good battler to win games. And I thought the when you played Clayton, it was like the canonical example of this. It's like, yeah, I think Clayton's team matched up well into yours, but you still figured out how to win through like better maneuvering and better positioning and better team builds and all of these things. So even though what I thought you had was like a worse team, I thought you did a much better job battling. Um, and I think there are going to be a lot of games like that this year where you're able to turn bad situations into good ones. So yeah,
Toxic. I think that's how you kill Skeledirge.
toxic. Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Like, I would not want to use this team, but I think it's a good team nonetheless. But yeah, it is pretty slow. I think Zarude is really good value for the points, but I just couldn't use it very well. But clearly, you're using it better than I am so far. I don't know. I feel like it's a hard one to use. I feel like.
Yeah, Sam, I'm starting to realize that when you said that Jirachi was trash originally when I picked it up, it wasn't a joke. Like every I dropped Scizor for Jirachi, and now I need to re-drop Jirachi for Scizor. But yeah, I think my team is definitely missing some sort of setup sweeper. Like it's not normally my play style, but I think I need something on my team to do it. Like I know Palfin can run the bulk upset, but like I don't think you want to do that every week. And I think I just need something that's just a threat, like in prep to be like, I can't let this thing set up a dragon dance or get off a nasty plot or something like that. Because I like playing balanced, but like also you can only win so many games by slowly beating down your opponent and hoping you don't fuck up and make a mistake that costs you the game. So I like my team. I think I have Mons, high point Mons that I can drop if and when I need to. And I think I need something in between Talonflame and Zarude speed wise that's actually or above Talonflame, but I don't think you can find that that's actually threatening because Talonflame kind of falls under the Rabombi scenario we are talking about earlier, where it's a super fast mon, but like does it really threaten the mons that it's faster than to revenge kill? Like not really.
Yeah. Like I think unless you're Caesar or like something that dies in one shot to Talonflame, you're not calculating in its speed.
Yeah.
I think your team is full of mons that I've always considered undervalued. Like Rotom Frost is so good. That is so good. It's always low point. Talonflame is always good. It's low point. And then Dragalge is always good and always undervalued.
Yeah.
It's like every season, it's just like,
I
God,
love
that thing hit that
that
hard
thing.
and it tanked that hit. Like it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam, I have thought about the Infernate move. I just like I already have two
Whoa,
fire
whoa,
types.
whoa, 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 whoa,
I know.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Sam, you just recommended Caesar and Infernape after I made a verbal claim to both of them. Are you what the hell?
No, I mean I've definitely thought about what to do with Jirachi. Because like every week when I'm prepping, I'm like, yeah, this thing doesn't really do a ton for me because it's a good all around mon, but like when you have a balanced team like I do, Jirachi just doesn't really need to fill any roles because it does every role slightly worse than another mon that I have to do it for the most part. I think the only thing it really gives for my team at this point is wish support. So I think that's definitely the one mon that I might look to upgrade in the near future. Alrighty. Let's go on to team number 2, which is Ben's team. So I know I've normally been talking first, but Ben, I'll kind of let you take the floor on this one and give your thoughts on your own team.
I see somebody just said Palathin for Azu. I was thinking Azu for Jirachi. Anyway, but go on. I do think Azumarill is good. Cerulege is nice, I guess, is the main thing. I'll be honest, I don't think my team synergizes that well. Like my two strongest things are both ghost types, so I'm pretty weak to normal. They kind of just Pokemon I think are fun, minus Toxapex, which is objectively not fun, but kind of need it. So I pretty much brought the same team every week, which is Screens, Grimmsnarl, and then Cerulege to set up. And Cerulege has gotten all my kills. My next highest kill leader after Cerulege is like 30th on the kill lead list. So I don't think that's sustainable, is I guess my point, which I'm a little worried about. Like people are going to start breeding no item for Poltergeist, and you know. That said, it's been fun. I kind of enjoy it. I'm a little worried about playing Clayton because I don't really have too much bulk outside of Toxapex. But yeah, I don't know. I'm out of transactions, so I kind of wanted to get all my transactions out early, so I couldn't even worry about it. So at this point, I'm just like, I'll just go, and then we'll see. Cerulege is like Blaziken. Yeah.
I mean, Cerulege, it's a very good mon, but I don't think it's 10 points undervalued like Blaziken was, or whatever the equivalent was when we did tiers back then.
I tried to warn them. I said, is this the right tier? And they're like, yeah, it's fine.
Blaziken being tier 3, bro. That was hilarious.
That was crazy.
But, no, I mean, Ben, I think you're like, whenever you draft your teams, I'm always like, dude, this team stinks. Like, what is he doing? And then I realized that like, you play the game so much differently than I do, that like your entire game is like, or your entire like roster is like support mons dedicated to get this one mon to win the game for me, which isn't how I play. So like I just can't wrap my head around the team building strategy, but like it always just works. Like, and it's so scary. Like whenever I watch your games and you get both your screens up, and then Cerulege comes in on something that needs to switch out on it, I'm just like, at least 3 mons on the other team are going to die before this gets dealt with. And it's just so hard to come back from the other team when you are able to set up that type of advantage. And there's not really a way to not get, for them to stop your screens getting up, considering Grimmsnarl is Prankster. Like you're going to get up at least something that you want in order to get up an SD, or like, I think when you played Talk last week, you were banded and it was just hitting like an absolute truck. I mean, I think like hazard control is really the only thing on this team that's like a potential issue, considering you don't really like bringing Cyclozar.
It's a big issue.
Yeah, but like I think like you get enough momentum with your screens and your support and everything where you're not just having to switch in defensive mons, taking chip damage from hazards. Like that's just not the way you play. So as long as you like don't die to hazards, you can normally play around it.
Yeah. Ben, how have you said 2 things, I guess. First question, how have you liked Spectre this year?
Hasn't done that much. I feel like it should be good, but it just feels fun. It's just fun. I feel like it's fun. It's simple. I like simple things, right? So Spectre, just like it hits Shadow Ball and it hits hard. And so you can usually predict like what they're gonna do to switch into it. And I don't know. I feel like it's relatively simple to play with. It doesn't have that many sets, but it hasn't done much yet. So I only got it, I think, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So I've only played with it, I think, once or twice.
And then you said something else, which was, I guess like Spectre. My thought on Spectre is it's just easy to prep for. I think this is a unusual season where people are going to have less ad drops than normal. I think this is like the first season people have run out of ad drops, so it might not be like a issue. Like I don't have a switch in to Spectre, but if I make it to the playoffs, I'm gonna definitely pick something up. Um,
You got Braviary. Braviary switches in.
Braviary, yeah, it's reasonable, yeah, for sure. Um, and then it's like, yeah, it's very straightforward. And then the other thing that you said that I want to ask you about was you said that hazard and hazard control is overrated. What was your logic behind that one?
That was a mind game to get James to not bring boots on whatever Zapdos and Chen Pao, which probably won me the game. No, but it actually wasn't
Yeah.
like it's true though. I mostly because I don't like personally bringing hazards or hazard removal because just it's not very fun. Who wants to click a move called Stealth Rocks or Rapid Spin? Like it's a waste of a turn.
Ben's ideal game is over in 15 turns, so like at that point hazards don't matter.
Yeah.
Like if he plays his game how he wants to win it, like he's not going to fall victim to getting chipped to death by hazards.
It
Yeah.
is a shame Sarah is weak to rocks. It's kind of a pain.
I'm
There
also
should
just
be
looking at I'm also just like looking at Sarah Ledge's like picture here. That's just such a cool design. Just
yeah,
like very
it
very
is.
cool looking mon. Like just awesome.
It's got the best move of each of its stat, like fighting, ghost, and fire,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is like really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good mon. Like you say like they're weak to normal, but like whenever I see that, I'm just like he's just gonna bring Terra fighting Sarah Ledge and click
Yeah.
close combat.
Yeah. No, I guess mostly Spectre. Like Spectre kind of
Yeah.
gets walled. Like Braviary, for example, will pretty much just wall it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Spectre and draft, but like, it hasn't hurt you using it yet. So I think we should probably go on to the undisputed number one team, the Beantown Bisharps, 5-0 with a very tough schedule thus far. Just absolutely eking out those 3-game wins. I feel like Sam's absolute signature strategy is to lose game 1 and then win games 2 and 3 relatively handily. His team is just fucking gross. Like Corviknight and Gastrodon being able to switch into every move, and then Corviknight pivoting out, bringing in Meowscarada or Mamoswine, being able to click some of the strongest stab in the game and kill everything. Like pretty sure Meowscarada is 2 on the ladder and Mamoswine's 3. Like it's just a very optimized team in terms of like Corviknight and Gastrodon are some of the best walls in the game that can only like Gastrodon's only weakness, even though it is your Terra captain, like is grass, and Corviknight 4 times resist that. Like it's just they're very hard mons to OHKO. So you're able to switch them in relatively freely because you're able to be a leg up in terms of prediction. And then you just bring it, you're able to switch in your big heavy hitters for free, and they just do. Mamoswine is just so gross. Like you didn't even bring it against me, and I was just so terrified prepping against it. Like the dual stab that it has is just legitimately the best in the game in terms of offense. Ground and ice, that is just gross. And I think he's been really good with Palmot this year too. Like that thing's been sneaky good in pretty much every match he's brought it.
Is Revival Blessing allowed this season?
No.
No. I think
Okay.
Palmot is terrible without Terra, but with Terra, it's actually really good. Because like Double Shock hits so hard. I mean, there's like very few things. I don't think there's anything really that switches into Palmot.
Yeah.
Aloma Lola, I was doing the calcs. It was like, all right, Aloe is like the most defensive mon in the game. Like, I'll just run it full defense. Like, double shot can't really do more than 50%, right? Wrong. Like with Terra, it's a OHKO. It's an OHKO. It's blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Palmot is an issue. Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Nippity is great too.
I'm also just still so salty the game that I played Sam. I thought he was Scarf Thunderous until like halfway through game 3. I'm still just so mad at myself for thinking that. But yeah, I mean, like there couldn't be anyone else at number 1. He's beaten everyone on the schedule. He's had a really hard schedule. Team is performing really well. Like Meowscarada, like I honestly was kind of a hater of it before the season. I didn't think it was that good. I was very wrong. It was a gigantic problem when I played him. But yeah, his team's just really good. It's really well balanced. Like obviously, he uses Corviknight better than anyone. He his his propensity for dual Rocky helmets is extremely annoying, even though it's very effective. But yeah, no, he's the class of the league right now.
That's
After
what
being championship last year or the champion last year, so
that's
it's on
something I've
us
noticed about Sam.
to dethrone him.
Someone needs to beat him, and I think people will.
And he's. I mean, Ben, do you play him at any point this season?
I play him next like I play Clayton this week and then Sam next week. Sam, who do you play this week? Chat, Sam. Who do you play?
Okay.
Kevin. All right, Kevin. We'll bump you up in the rankings like 6 months.
I'm sure Sam probably plays Clayton at some point too. But yeah, Sam plays Clayton. Oh, I wonder if he's gonna run Terra Fairy Gastrodon against Walking Wake. Like
right. Yeah.
Clayton probably can't even bring Gastrodon or Walking Wake against this team. Like
yep. Pretty much. Yeah, no, I think I hate this team, like, but he brings, I mean, Corv, I always hate on Corv, but it's just so nice to know, like, I'm always gonna have a physical wall and defogger and like pivoter. Like it's gonna come every week. It's always gonna do the same thing, and it's gonna be useful every week.
yeah, and I think it's very under the radar that both his walls in Gastrodon and Corviknight can either go physical or special if needed. And then like Pheasantipity plays the kind of middle ground role. I mean, it's normally specially defensive, but he runs it as a support mon mainly. And it like it's not going to get any kills or anything, but it's going to help a lot of his other mons do what they need to do with, screens and recovery and U-turn and all that. So
the mon that was really annoying for me that played that role is Uxie. Like Thunder Wave, Psychic, Rocks, Pivot, like it just disrupts everything. It's so fucking annoying. And nothing Okos it, especially if it runs Colberberry. That thing is a pain in the ass. So he has like all of these different disruptors, like the Corv, Gastro, Pheasantipity. Like they just annoy you, and then eventually he wins the game with like Mamo, Ice Shard, Earthquake, or like Scarf Meowscarada. And I think that's a very effective strategy and way to build. I wish I had a team like this. I used to play this way, and it's very very hard to execute because it requires like 50 turn thinking versus like Mirror Ben's thinking, which like I won't speak for Ben, but like small brain me, like I need to finish the game in 20 turns. So like, but it's very effective when executed properly.
And I don't know if it works without Corviknight. He just
Yeah.
always gets Corviknight.
yeah, like he drafts Corviknight like first, like often. And I'm like, what a waste of a pick. And then like every time I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, what? Choice banded knockoff from Weavile only does 37%? That's kind of bullshit. Like it's a fucked up mon and that like defensively typing fly and steel is just gross. Like it's very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't think Sam actually thinks 50 steps ahead. I don't think he's doing that.
All right, but I think that brings us to the end of our power ranks. We've got the summary here. Thanks to both Ben and Soslow for their vibes-based ranking to offset my going up and down the standings and moving people one spot.
Boo.
You got to get some balance in there.
No.
But yeah, do either you guys have any closing thoughts on predictions for the rest of the season? Anything fun like that? Or
I don't even know how does it, who gets, is there like a top 2 that gets a buy, or like what are the things you want to get?
so yeah, I mean, what is playoffs top 8?
Yeah, I don't know.
8 of the 14. If it's 8 of the 14, then I'm assuming it's just there's no buys. It's just the top 8 double elimination.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like the top current 8 teams tied in power ranks, like Sazlo and Bird are right on the edge. I know that technically Kevin's above them in record. Like there's gonna be a good team that misses the playoffs.
That's the
Um,
thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
There's
There is
gonna be
good.
like it's gonna be one of me, Bert, Shoop are not gonna make the playoffs, and this will be the first time we don't make the playoffs, and that's gonna be really fucking brutal. Like if I don't make the playoffs, I'm gonna hate myself. It's gonna suck.
I mean, and
Um,
I can see in classic talk fashion, like playing super hard fought, like great games against all the top teams in the league, and then just totally shitting the bed against everyone else. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
like I I, I think playoffs are going to be a tough one this year. I know in the past, like with the cut down from 16 and then 20 last year to 14. Sazla, I know you said earlier that like it seems like a lot of the teams are really good this year, and I think that's why is that the competition is just a lot better. Um,
yeah.
it's any given Sunday, as they say, anyone
It's
can
much
win.
better. It's better this way. It's more fun this way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love like just being super stressed and spending 3.5 hours prepping for my match every week.
So much time. Yeah. The games are all good. It's the worst thing was like last year you play whatever, like I'll throw Jamie under the bus. Like you play Jamie, you know you're gonna win before you even start prepping. Like and then like half the games are played between like say Shoop and then someone of like Jamie caliber. It's like you don't even want to watch the replays because it's gonna make you worse at Pokemon. So like there's gonna be anything interesting. So at least every game this year is interesting. The Mons are good. So it's been fun. It's been more fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up. It's getting mighty close to bedtime here on the East Coast. Um, so
Yes.
thank you, Sam and Matt, for hanging out with us. I know Salsa recorded this, so hopefully we should be able to upload it for the rest of the league to watch later.
We'll see. Oh, it's gonna be a big file. It's gonna be like an hour long plus
Yeah.
file.
Oh, you've got plenty of time, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah. All right, let's see. All right. Peace, guys.
Peace.